I certainly do, because I think this decision of the United States Supreme Court can be reversed as soon as there's one additional appointment to the United States Supreme Court. And if we don't change it that way, I'm going to advocate through the International Association of Chiefs of Police that we attempt to change the United States Constitution. We can do it by a two-thirds vote of both houses and then ratification by the states, three-fourths of the states, or we can do it by a constitutional convention. And so if this decision stands, I'm going to lead a movement to change the Constitution of the United States, and I'm convinced the people of the United States will very strongly support that. Decision by the U.S. Supreme Court, I think, is an absurdity. Every schoolboy who read the Constitution in grammar school remembers that it said there should only be bail for non-capital cases under certain circumstances. Well, when the framers of the Constitution talked about capital cases or death penalty cases, the people, when they voted for that Constitution to ratify it, were in effect ratifying the death penalty. And so we have an unfortunate case where 5 out of 9 justices forget that fundamental fact that they should have learned in grammar school. And I think it brings up the very important point that the time has come when we should have appointed to the Supreme Court some non-lawyers. The Supreme Court is composed entirely of lawyers. The law that's being interpreted is the Constitution, which is the law which is written by the people, not by legislative bodies. And what it requires is plain, simple, country boy interpretation of what that organic law is. And I think that we need some plain, simple men or ladies sitting on that court who are not lawyers, who don't get involved in technicalities, who will interpret it as it is. Another thing that's pointed up by the decision today is that it's the same as the 5-4 decisions during the early era of the Warren administration of the court, where the law was changed by just a very slight majority vote. And I think we have to change the Constitution to provide that in interpreting the Constitution that there should be at least a two-thirds vote of the Supreme Court. This would require 6 votes instead of 5. Under such a circumstance, that judgment would not have come down the way it did. Another thing that this decision points up is the total unresponsiveness of the federal judiciary to the will of the people. Unfortunately, federal judges are appointed for lifetime. The Constitution states on good behavior. Good behavior, obviously, is nothing worse than the behavior of Justice Douglas, for example. And so justices, in effect, are appointed for life. I think the time has come when we have to take Alexander Hamilton's advice. When he was selling the Constitution, he said that the cure to ills in a representative form of government is to change the men. And I think we need to change some of the men on the United States Supreme Court. But because they're there for life, they can stay on and on and on and thwart the will of the people, expressed through their president, for example, because it's significant that this decision was rendered by the remnants of the Warren Court. All 5 members who came out to abolish the death penalty in certain cases were Warren Court members. And the 4 appointees of President Nixon stood firm and fast in opposing the decision. I think the recent election of President Nixon was somewhat of an indication of the will of the people. The confirmation of these justices, the 4 who were against it, indicated a will of the United States Senate. And so I think we've come to the point where we have to make the federal judges stand for election the same as the executive branch of government and the legislative branch of government. This would allow some turnover in the court so that their decisions could be more contemporary.
Morale of the men.
Chief, do you think the initiative should remain on the ballot?
No, it wouldn't, because the cost of keeping a man in life imprisonment, remember when you're dealing with your convicted felons,